I don't even want to do it. We'll talk about this in about 10 seconds. Sooner fans, how y'all feel this morning? What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports. We're going to come in here and talk OU football, college football, and sports in general. Before we get started, please jump in the comments and tell me, how do you feel? H for happy, S for sad. Take me from my boy Ty Hayes. Are you happy with the performance of your Sooners this past Saturday? Please tell me. I want to know all the emotions that are running through your system. So jump in the comments and let me know, because we're going to dive into the morning after reaction from your boy Jay here at Unfair Sports on the Oklahoma-Nebraska game. I had a bunch of notes. I was going to run down a line of stuff. I wanted to really talk through this, but then I realized, you know what? Let's go off some raw emotion for myself. Let's go off some raw thinking and how I really felt when I looked at this. So I know every single one of you Sooner fans had PTSD after that first drive. During the first quarter, you were thoroughly concerned that, oh no, here we go again. Oklahoma folds in the big game. Now, you may recall this video when I gave my predictions. If you did not watch it, feel free to go back through there and I'll kind of explain how I felt throughout the year. But I told you all, the most important game this season was not this Nebraska road test. It was UTEP. First game of the season. First game in the Brent Venables era. First game with his coaching staff. Because that was going to set the tone. That was going to set what it was going to look like going forward this season. And it did. Now, the one thing was, we started off going deep. We tried too much. First possession was not very great. We ended up punting the ball. Next possession, Nebraska gets it and immediately goes down the field and scores a touchdown. How did we feel? Now, that's not like what happened at UTEP. This was more of it felt like they were feeling out Nebraska to see what was going on. One, and two, I mentioned this in the preview shows that I have done, that Nebraska has an interim coach. So that means that the players were going to play as hard as possible. They're going to go all out for Mickey Joseph. Specifically, and I said this on the 5 things to prepare for this game, they were going to bust their butts for him. They did. It fizzled out about as fast as I expected. We got one series of Nebraska football where they were doing it for Mickey. And what happened after that? Dylan Gabriel gets out there, calms himself down. They start opening the playbook a little bit more. He dips down the field 61 yards for that touchdown. Now, after he does that, now this is when the excitement comes in, and this is where I hope you all recognize the UTEP game in this. When a Jeff Lebby offense gets started, it don't stop. We started rolling down the field. 21 points. We scored on a possession of 2 minutes and 17 seconds, one of 55 seconds, one of a minute and 55 seconds. Yeah, pretty quick. Next time you looked up, it was 35-7 in the first half. 35-7. Sooners, when's the last time we seen this? We haven't seen this type of dominance since like 07, 08, 09. Oklahoma beating their first 3 opponents by 30 points or more. This is the first time that this team has done that since about 07. We held this team to 1 touchdown all the way to the end. 1. And that was just on the first drive because we knew they were to come out working hard for Mickey Joseph. So I'm not even mad at that first touchdown. I expected them to come out and work hard. But Nebraska go Nebraska, and it just happened to be they will fall apart at the end of the game. Now, the big thing was Joe Klatt said this on the live broadcast, and him and Gus Johnson, and I felt like this was probably a super accurate thing. No, actually, Gus was out at this point. But Joe said it. No matter what Nebraska was doing and wasn't doing, it meant nothing. This was all Sooners, all Sooner dominance. This was the Brent Venables defensive experience. Buddy of mine shot me a text and asked me, he's like, I ain't watching the game, haven't got to sit look at the game. Curious, how do you feel? What is this? Is this like this Lincoln Riley's defense, Brent Venables defense? What is this? And I laugh. I'm like, we know this ain't Lincoln Riley. This is Brent Venables defense. This is Clemson defense. This is contender for national championship defense. Now, I'm not going to jump on the limb on that, and I'm going to dive into my actual notes in a minute. But I want to give you guys some emotion on this. We're not talking national championship right now. We're not even going to talk Big 12 championship right now. We're going to talk 3 games in that Brent Venables defense looks completely different for this team. This team looks so much different on defense. Everybody's noticing it. Everybody's pointing out. They're like, look, this is different. Because in the last regime, this game was 21-24 at some point. This was a lot closer than it should be. This is not what we're going to get out of a Clemson Mystique in the Dabo Swinney era with Brent Venables era team. RJ Young said this, and a lot of people gave him some flack for it. And I don't understand why. I get why, but at the same time, I think people just didn't really pay attention to kind of what he was really saying and how he said it, because he said it exactly the way I'm about to say it. The way Clemson was dominant over the years with Dabo, those years when he got Brent Venables, that should have been Oklahoma. That's how Oklahoma should have been. That's how Oklahoma used to be. That is Oklahoma. Oklahoma should have been Clemson. Clemson, that is exactly what it should have been. I mean, we all know about Clemsoning, but the point was that's the type of defense and offensive play we should have had together at Oklahoma. This defense this year in 2017, national championship, guaranteed, period. No questions asked. That was the year that honestly, Alabama shouldn't have won the title. They did because they switched quarterbacks. But they weren't as dominant in that game against Georgia as we were against Georgia the week before. We would have beat Alabama for the title if we had this defense. Didn't work out. Here we are. So let me jump into my notes so I don't keep you all too long. As it's a Sunday, NFL football is going to start. I know a lot of you are going to tune into that stuff. Thank you for tuning in here. Please jump in the comments and give me your raw emotion of how you felt about this game the next day. I want to give you time to let it marinate. I know you probably celebrate, got some drinks, popped a few cold ones. I popped some cold ones. Tell me how you feel. Hit the like, subscribe button also while you are here. Let's jump in. So there's a big thing. Oklahoma starts off slow. That seems to be, a buddy of mine asked me this. Actually, a buddy of mine made this statement and said, it seems like Lebby feels out the defense before he starts cracking to page 2 and 3. And I can kind of see that. Dylan Gabriel looked a little hesitant in the beginning. My boy another buddy texted me and was a little upset about him, and he wasn't feeling him. And I was like, don't worry. He always makes up for his mistakes. He makes up for his miscues. He makes up for any type of underachievements he's had on the field. Anything he leaves on the field, he tries to make up for it, and he did. Now, there was a lot more there. There was some meat left on the bone. I will agree with all of you there. He left a lot of meat on the bone. But they got really close to finishing off that meal. All we needed was a couple of those big plays. We would have got it. So we did not get the 300-yard game I told you we would get. I'm sorry. With my 5 things, I was hoping for 300 yards. This was supposed to be the Heisman game, and it wasn't. So I'm hoping it's either K-State or Texas. But right now, we're not on pace yards-wise for the Heisman, so we won't talk too much about that. But they started off slow. But once Lebby started opening that book, it kept rolling. And that is what UTEP did. Once we got started, it didn't stop. And that's what you want out of this team. You want an offense that gets rolling and it don't stop. And I think that's what we're going to see every week out of it. We saw it last week, too, against Kent State. We finally got going at the end of the first quarter, and then we just didn't stop scoring. Who's going to be mad about that, right? Y'all like that when the offense can get rolling like that. It's like the defense is really the focus for this team because they know the offense can do their thing, but they need the defense to have pressure to grow. It feels like they're artificially creating some of these scenarios. Now, it may not be true, but it feels like it. But that's me. Marvin Mims out there doing his thing. But Jaleel Farouk, coming out party, baby. Jaleel Farouk. So glad that we finally got something out of him. He had 3 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown. We thought he was going to have a touchdown last week. A few drops, didn't work out, but he came out this week. That's what we wanted. Marvin Mims is probably going to be vying for the Biletnikoff. We need to get him more yards. But he did come out there 4 for 66. And then we had that Braden Willis touchdown pass. We had some trickery. Page 3 was open. Timothy, you're right. Why beat a team? Why open up your book too far if you can beat a team in your first few pages? So we decided to go to page 3, pulled out some trickery, the lateral to Willis. Willis threw a touchdown. Malachi Coleman, I hope you were watching that. And so we have some DG here or there. That scamper for a touchdown was beautiful, something that we needed out of him. And that was the spark that opened up everything for Oklahoma. And then from there, it was just downhill. I'll have an apology video going up soon for a particular player at Oklahoma. I'm going to bring in a buddy who was a big advocate for him. And I've got to go ahead and just sign the forms, say my apologies. That will be coming in the coming days. So keep a lookout for that video. Next from there, the offense itself being as dominant and fast, there's going to be moments, especially late in games, where the defense is going to start giving up yards. Now, we ended up going to the second to backups, right there early in the third quarter. And I think that's the only quorum I have with Lebby and staff. I get what they did, but it bothered me. They did not let Bevel get out there and slang it a little bit. We need to see how Bevel will work in his offense, knock on wood, hopefully not, if we lose Dylan Gabriel. We didn't get that this game, which is a little disappointing. And I say it's disappointing because after I finished up some stuff yesterday, I went to Stillwater and checked out Oklahoma State. And, of course, they blew out Arkansas Pine Bluff. But Gunnar Guyton got in there. Gunnar Gundy got in the game late second quarter. They let him start slinging it in the third because at a certain point, you can't just run the ball nonstop. You got to throw it. And so we have to see what he would look like in the future. I was hoping Oklahoma would give us that with Bevel or even our boy General Booty. Let General Booty get out there and get a couple throws in just so we can see. But I'm guessing for them, the defense was so dominant. The run game was going so well. There was really no reason to just overinflate the numbers, but we should have. I do feel like that's the one thing we should have did. We should have kept that gas going because the defense was doing their job. Now, I get running the ball more, getting some Javante Barnes yards. That dude looks like DeMarco Murray. Runs just like him. He's going to be something special later. But anyway, we got a lot of Barnes action, and they gave us the opportunity to see kind of get the defense some time to rest as we start switching people out and go out there and play. Now, one last thing I'm going to touch on, the Deshaun White targeting penalty. I get it. It was a good call by the refs because he dropped his head. You can't drop the crown of your head when you hit somebody. He may have thought the quarterback was going to turn, so he's going to be able to be on the side of him. It didn't work out that way. I hate to see it. We won't see him the first half of next game. But did that give us a kind of a sneak preview of Kanik at the Cheetah? Because y'all saw that fumble he forced and got, how all over the field he is. Jaren Kanik, I did a video on the kid, the mechanic, my boy Jimmy called him, out of Kansas, I think it's Hayes, Kansas. Similar area as Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. Y'all remember Isaiah Simmons because he was the huge dude all over the field in the national championship game. Everybody's trying to figure out who is this guy. Who is he? Especially when they played Ohio State. Who is this dude? He gets drafted by the Cardinals, and he's, getting himself acclimated because he's a player that can move all over the place. He's probably the most athletic player on the field. Kanik looks like that same thing on the defensive side. He's going to be all over the place, and he's a true freshman. He's going to be a monster. Venables said it on his postgame that Kanik really doesn't know how to play linebacker yet. He really doesn't know what he's doing. Imagine when he knows. He's just a ball hawk. I'm ready to see him and Eric McCarty together because I think Eric McCarty is going to be another Kanik-like player. I'm just saying. But seeing him in the cheetah role was exciting. So, Sooner fans, jump in the comments. Let me know how you feel about that first game on the road and how the Sooners went out there and showed up on national television, 49-14, beating up on them Huskers like I told you they would beat up on them. I was hoping for 50, but we got 49, and we didn't give up more. We gave up under 17 points, and that was my prediction. Yes! I'm going to go ahead and celebrate myself. Hit the like, subscribe button. Thank you for joining. Share because sharing is caring, and I will have a reaction video with some buddies, probably drop first thing in the morning, as well as my apology video later in the week. And with that, we'll chop it up in a few days. Peace.